And next, we're going to look at a different opportunity, and Joe Purcell will be talking about City of the Future. Joe?
I am here. Thank you, Dr. Roberts. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. Go ahead and get that done. And I'm going to, let me see if I can present. There you go. How do we look, Dr. Roberts?
You look great.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So first of all, I wanted to let you all know, first of all, I'm very thankful to Dr. Roberts and WKU and KAGE for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all today. As you look at this video, yes, I am sitting in a car. I live in Oldham County, but I am actually in Owensboro right now. My son is playing soccer for Oldham County High School, and I can see the field from here, but I am sitting in the car on a hotspot trying to make sure that this presentation goes well. So we as educators, we have to just kind of roll with the punches. I think the last year and a half has shown us that for sure. And so this is a good case of that again. As I go through here, you'll see some QR codes. So if you're at home on your computer, if you have your phone ready, there'll be several opportunities for you to scan a QR code directly from your computer. That'll give you some information. This first QR code will link you to the slide deck. So if you want a copy of the slide deck and any information to kind of be able to refer back to later, this will give you a good opportunity to do that. So so you can use that later on. Again, my name is Joe Purcell. I'm actually an associate principal at Oldham County High School. I have been a gifted and talented coordinator for nearly 20 years at the middle school and high school level. I am a former member of the Governor's Council for Gifted Education as well that Kathy referenced earlier. And so I have had a long career in gifted education. And so one of the things that I always want folks to know whenever I start talking about Future City is for them just to recognize that this is a labor of love. I'm sure much like Jimmy, this is something that we don't get paid to do. We just love to bring these opportunities to kids. And so I'm just really, really thrilled to be able to have some time today to talk to you guys about Future City. So a couple things to begin with. First off, I want to start with talking about just what is Future City. I could actually probably take the vast majority of Jimmy's presentation that he just did and just put a big ditto on the screen. And aside from the details of Future City, you would pretty much have a pretty good idea of what it is that we do. When we talk about those 6 C's of deeper learning, much like Odyssey of the Mind, Future City is there as well, and that is really what we stress with our kids. So this is not a rote memorization competition. This is an opportunity for kids to kind of seek out their own answers and then share and present those in an authentic way. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background on what Future City is. So Future City is a national competition. It's obviously a project-based learning experience. Nationally is the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade competition, but in Kentucky, we're one of only 2 regions in the entire country, and in fact the world, because the Future City has some world regions. We're one of only 2 in the entire country who offer this opportunity to 4th and 5th grade students. So if you are an elementary school educator or parent, I would really encourage you to take a look at this for your 4th and 5th graders. I know in my experience, at least in Oldham County, we have some opportunities in the elementary school for our gifted kids. But a lot of those opportunities really start to kick in, especially if it's a competition or something that's a little bit more formalized. Those things really start to kick in middle school. And so when we started looking at our elementary school kids, much like Jimmy said, these kids are capable of doing this work. And so we have adapted some of our competition things for our 4th and 5th graders. And so we want to give that opportunity to our elementary school kids as well. And we also did it in a kind of a selfish way, because we wanted to make sure that we got students as many opportunities to participate in this competition, to become familiar, so that as they then moved into middle school and they were competing on more of a national level, that Kentucky could really be represented well at the national level, because we could potentially have some kids who have participated in this competition for, in some cases, 4 and 5 years. So it's a really cool opportunity for those elementary school kids as well. And just kind of a side note on that, elementary school kids do not compete against the middle school kids. So we have a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade division, and then we have a 4th and 5th grade division where they just compete against one another. Our competition kind of runs from now, like teams will be signing up from now all the way until what will basically amount to your school's fall break in October. And then those teams will be preparing their deliverables all through the fall, and it will culminate in a competition that will happen in January. And as long as I'm still associate principal at Oldham County High School, that's where we will hold the competition, will be at Oldham County High School. So that slide is always, depending on where jobs take us and those sort of things, we may change. But as long as they're offering me a free space to host this competition, that's where we will be. So students compete in 4 component areas. I want to just give you a real quick overview of those. The first off is the city essay. So the city essay is wrapped around a theme. So every year we have a theme that that students will mainly focus on. Now they are doing all aspects of a city design, but the competition itself is wrapped around a theme. So as you look down through there, you can kind of see some of the past themes, things about transportation, repurposing public spaces, aging populations. And last year the competition was wrapped around a city on the moon. So as you can look down through there, one of the things that gives this a real authenticity with your students is that, for example, if you're talking about clean water, well, all of us live in a city who has some sort of water delivery system through a water company or some sort of a cooperative. And so it gives your students the opportunity to reach out to those folks and have some authentic conversations about how exactly do we get water in our city? Like, how does that work currently in 2021? And then they start to look at then, well, what could be the future of that? And how could we change that? And like I said, they will deal with every single aspect of their city. But the theme or the main topic of the competition for that year, that's what they will really dive into to try to come up with a real solution. So when we talk about the city essay, the students are going to be writing a 1,500 word essay to cover those solutions and share those with the judges that look at that. This year, the theme, so you have a QR code there if you want to scan. That gives you a little bit longer explanation of the theme for this year. It is a waste-free future, as you kind of see this this diagram here. It's one of the diagrams that they're utilizing through Future City this year to kind of show this to the kids. It's basically the concept of how nature sort of has its resources. They're utilized for something, and then all parts of nature sort of then go back. If you think about things like composting and things like that, where the earth kind of swallows those things up and they become new natural resources back into and reproduce over and over again. We as humans kind of work in a linear fashion. We take natural resources, we use them for something. When that has been sort of used up, a lot of times it becomes pollution and waste. And so part of what the theme is for, or not part of, exactly what the theme is for this year is for students to start thinking about waste-free futures. And so this gives them a great, again, opportunity to work with recycling centers, with different forms of energy providers in your town or your city, and give them an opportunity to have some of those real authentic conversations with those folks. So that's what our theme is going to be around this year. Second deliverable that the kids do is they work with a project plan. And so I know as educators, we are constantly wanting kids to plan and stop flying by the seat of your pants and just kind of, like create a plan. Let's look at this and see how we need to go through the process. So the project plan is actually part of like the engineer design process, and it gives kids the opportunity to plan a schedule, create jobs for one another, and then hold one another accountable with check-ins to say, how are we progressing? And then at the end, finish up and come back and reflect and say, what did we do well as a team? What do we need to do better for next time? How could we have done better? What were our strengths and opportunities for growth that we saw as we went through the process? Next is the physical model. So one of the things that the students do, much like Jimmy talked about with Odyssey of the Mind, talking about using those recycled goods and finding different things. We joke all the time with Future City that a lot of these kids try to take parents' garages because they're out there looking for basically trash and anything that's out there that could be considered a recycled good to be able to use to make buildings or whatever. And then the next thing that they do is take over their parents' dining room for those months as they're building their physical model. And so it's a really great opportunity for kids to do that more kinesthetic learning, get their hands on things, painting, designing, creating, being creative about how they are going to use these recycled goods to show different parts of their city. And then as far as the mechanical aspect of it, they also have to have at least one moving part as part of their city. So that's another great opportunity for those kids that love to put their hands on things and design they get an opportunity to do that as well. So that's the physical model. And then finally, students give a presentation. So I think that out of all the parts of Future City, this is the one that that I love the most, because much like Jimmy talked about, where we have teachers and educators and parents that are trying to always help kids and give them the skills. The presentation is done before a panel of judges, and much like I'm sure Odyssey of the Mind, there are different things that you could you can kind of fudge, and you can get some help from outside folks and that sort of thing. But when it comes time to stand up in front of a set of professional judges, technical architects and engineers, and these folks where you have to stand in front of them and defend your city and defend the things that you're trying to do and how exactly they're going to work, you can't fake that. And so this is one of the most authentic parts of the competition for me, is that the students get an opportunity to present their city in a creative, unique way, and then answer those questions from the judges afterwards. So it's a really cool opportunity for them to share their work. Oops, sorry. So anyway, talking about Future City and kind of where we've been, this is a picture of our gym at Oldham County High School. So you can see from this picture how big the competition has grown over the last several years, actually the last 10. This will be my 11th year of being the regional coordinator for Kentucky. And I took over in 2011, 2012, and that year, I don't mind telling people that year I was quite embarrassed. I had taken over. I was really excited about getting this program going in our state. We had a gentleman from the national office who came and came to our competition. We held it down at UK, got there, and there was 3 teams from 2 different schools that were actually able to make it to the competition. And I will be honest and tell you that of those 3 teams, 2 of them were from my school, because at that point I was still a GT coordinator at Oldham County Middle School. And so the 3 teams that competed, 2 of them were my own kids, and 1 of them was a team from Pikeville. So even back then, we were coming from the far eastern part of the state, and we're kind of central. We're not really the western part of the state, but kind of central. And we met in UK, and we had a competition, and we got it done. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh, like I'm so disheartened. Like, I don't know that we're going to be able to get this off the ground and get it going. But in 2018, 2019, we had 86 teams from 30 schools competing that year. And so as I was looking through a lot of the participants for this meeting today, I saw there are several educators on here who at one point or another or currently are still part of Future City. And so we have had, some teams with different educators who have come and gone. We've had some schools that have been mainstays. And we have teams literally from, we've had teams win from Pikeville all the way to Graves County. So we truly are attracting teams from across the state, and we want to continue to do that. Last year in 2021, we had 40 teams that competed, even though last year, because of COVID, we had to be completely virtual last year. And it worked really well. The kids acclimated, they did some great stuff. And I think we had a really successful competition last year. And our big point, kind of going back to the point about getting those elementary kids going in here, our 2019 Kentucky team, when they went to the national finals in Washington, D.C., they placed 8th in the national finals. So we are representing the state of Kentucky really, really well. Our state, or what we call a region, our regional winner, which is the state of Kentucky, our regional winner will go to Washington, D.C. to represent us, represent the state of Kentucky at the national finals. And that's an all expenses paid trip for that team, their educator, and their mentor. So it's a really, really awesome opportunity for that team that wins the competition. So what's this year's competition going to look like? Well, we are planning right now to be in person. I think that you all know that if you work in a school, as most of you do, I'm sure the term contact tracing and quarantine are starting to become very bad words in our vernacular all the time, because I know we are dealing with it on a daily basis. So we are planning to be in person, but we are going to take it as it comes. I will tell you that additionally on here, we are going to have a virtual option. So what I tell you is, you think about, like, is this something that I want to get my kids involved in? We will compete this year for sure. So it may be a virtual competition again this year, but we are going to plan to either do in person, a hybrid. We will definitely have a hybrid if we have some teams that don't feel comfortable competing in person, but yet we still can. And then if the need arises, we could possibly be completely virtual this year. Going back, kind of like what Jimmy talked about, some of our curriculum connections in 21st century skill development. Obviously, we know that these things are so important. We've got to move kids off of rote memorization of facts and get them to learning skills that will allow them to be successful. I think I saw someone in the chat talking about adult GT students who still struggle with those forms of dealing with failure, and but even things like being able to articulate your ideas and tell people what you've thought, and not be afraid of that rejection or that challenge of someone challenging your ideas. That's what this competition is all about, and that's what we're all about with the students and helping them move those skills forward. Some stats from student surveys. I won't dwell on these too much because I know we want to kind of trying to get back on time here. Just to know that from the students themselves, when you look at these stats, you will see that students love this competition. It's a very challenging competition, and I think when we get to January, the kids are like, I'm ready to step away from this. Like, this has been really hard. It's a very challenging competition, but the kids love it, and they love coming that day and sharing their work and competing. And it's just been, as you can see here from the stats, the students really do appreciate the time that they get to spend with that. So just a couple of real quick things here. What can you do? So recruiting, obviously the main reason that I'm here, and I appreciate Dr. Roberts and Lynette Baldwin inviting me to come be a part of this, is we just need more schools. We want more students to have the opportunity. Like I said, last year we had 40 teams that competed. Teams are usually anywhere from 3 to 6 in most cases. And so, we could have had probably a couple of hundred kids on a yearly basis participate in this program and actually get to the competition. We've had as many as up in the 300 and 400 number of kids based on our teams that have competed. But we always want to increase our footprint, and we want to give this opportunity to more and more kids. So that's really what we're about today. Mentoring, if you just want to help a team, if you're a parent that's here and you say, I am an engineer, or I am a parent who is an architect or some other type of technical professional, and you want to reach out and say, like, who are some teams that need help? A lot of these teams need a professional who can kind of guide them, because a lot of times teachers, we have a lot of science and math teachers, but some of the topics in Future City may not be exactly in your wheelhouse, and so you might need a technical professional to come in and help your teams to a certain extent. And so we want to offer that opportunity. And then finally, for sponsors, I will tell you that every year we have sponsors that donate money to keep our program running, and that money by and large goes all back to the team. So we create special awards, and those teams, when they win those special awards, they all come with cash awards. So my goal with those things is to get money back in the teachers and the educators' hands so that they can expand their program. They can get to Oldham County. If you need to help pay for a bus, we've got teachers that come and they get blocks. We get blocks of hotel rooms for teams to come. We do all that stuff, and we try to help you where we can with money to make sure that those things are feasible for you to do. And so, if you know of a technical, some type of technical business, you look at those themes, something about cities where they might want to help sponsor this program for kids, please send them my way, and we would love to develop a partnership with them. Last slide here. Just a couple of QR codes here. Again, the slide deck is right there in the middle. Much like Jimmy, I try to reach out to my teachers and stay in good contact with them throughout the school year. As you sign up for the program, I will always be in contact with you, answering your questions, making sure that you have the help that you need so that you can be successful with your kids. I do trainings with teachers. I've traveled to Bowling Green. I've traveled to Fayette County, to Lexington. Worked with many schools to try to make sure that you have the support so that your kids can be successful. Like I said, it is a big contest. There's lots of different moving parts, but I want to make sure that you always have that support that you need so that you feel like your kids get the best chance that they can have to compete. That QR code there at the left, that takes you to the Future City National page where you can register as a educator. I will tell you that if you sign up and as an educator, you are not bound to compete. You're not required to compete at all if you sign up for that. But what you do if you sign up for that, where it helps us, is that in order for us nationally to be considered a viable region, we have to have 20 schools signed up every year, and we've never had a problem meeting that. But even if you just want to sign up as an educator and get the updates and kind of keep track of what we're doing with Future City, that would be greatly appreciated, because you are another organization that signed up, and that helps us get to viable status and allows, even if you don't compete, it allows other schools to be able to compete at that national level. And then on the far right side, that is just a Google form that will allow you just to get on. If you're not quite ready, if you don't want to sign up, it just gets you on an email list, and I will make sure to send you updates as those come out. And make sure that you kind of have the information that you need about Future City and how we're progressing forward. The one thing that I did leave out, I think it was on one of my slides with my camera view here, I can't see that. The competition costs $25. That's the entire cost to register your school. And for that registration fee, you can have as many teams as you would like. So if you have a whole class of kids that you want to work with and you want to put them into 5 teams, you can have as many teams as you like for that $25 sign up fee that National has us charge. So it's a very affordable competition. And for that, you guys can jump in. You'll get access to all the curriculum and all the information that you need, and you'll be ready to roll. So I am good. I'm going to stop sharing. And then if you guys have any questions, I'm glad to answer those for you.
Joe, there's a question from Rachel. She wants to know, how big is a team?
Yeah, so it really varies. I've had teams. We say that you have to have a minimum of 3. That's kind of the recommendation. But we've had teams that have competed with 1 kid. Like 1 kid will come and their teammates just weren't. They were scared to come present, and this kid goes, or they just couldn't come, and they're like, I just came by myself. You can compete, kid. We're gonna let you have that opportunity to present your work. So I've had that, and then I've had all the way up to a teacher says, I'm doing this with my entire science class, and so it's 30 kids all working on it. I really tell everybody the sweet spot for me is 3 to 6. 3 to 6 is enough. There's enough work for everybody to do, and it's not too much that kids are overwhelmed. That's what I always tell people to do.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you ever so much. I can
Thank you, Dr. Roberts.
imagine so many children who would love to be engaged in solving the challenges that Future City presents. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
You got it. Thank you for letting me present.